So I hope you're getting my screen and as well as my voice. Okay. So last class what we have discussed here, I think we discussed about Terraform, right? Major Terraform plan, sorry, Terraform init plan, Terraform apply, and Terraform test try commands as well, right? Otherwise, how to create these services like resource group, virtual network, subnetwork, and virtual machines, right? By using some Terraform software. So in Azure Cloud Computing Platform itself. So how can we create these services in Azure Cloud Computing Platform by using Terraform? So these things we discussed on our last class basically, right? So today we're going to discuss about SQL. So nothing but structure query language. Okay, structure query language. So first of all, we need to get some difference between SQL with Azure SQL. SQL with Azure SQL. So I think most of you aware that this SQL, nothing but we're having some different database servers here. First of all, right? So like MySQL, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. So like that, we're having so many database servers. So I'm going to provide you some awareness about what these database servers. Within these servers, we're having concept of databases, tables, and rows and columns. These all these things. Just I'm going to provide some brief introduction on that. But before moving further, first of all, we need to get some difference between SQL and Azure SQL, basically. Okay, otherwise, so first we're going to discuss about what is exactly this database servers, some basic information we'll discuss. So then I'm going to differentiate between this SQL and Azure SQL. Okay, so first we'll discuss about basically, first of all, here server. Okay, server, basically it is major intention of this server is, right? So we are going to get some request and it need to process that respective request and need to provide the response to the end user. That is the intention of the server. Okay, server is going to get the request and it need to process that respective request and it need to deliver the respective response. There is nothing but what is exactly server. Okay, so here server is going to be vary different types of these softwares what we are using. Okay, somebody they will call they will call as an application server. So here application server, majorly intention is if you want to deploy your application on a application related servers. We're having so many application related servers like Nginx is one server. Okay, Apache Tomcat is one server. Glassfish is one more application server. Oracle WebLogic is one more application server. So like that, we're having different uh, different application servers from the different vendors or different organizations. What I mean to say, there's nothing but application server in their point of view. In that point of view, you're calling as an application server, right? So if you comes under maybe some database servers, so database also we're calling as a server because server major intention is, so we are giving some request for that respect to server, right? And we are going to get the respect to a response. It can be some application server or it can be some database server, right? So these terminology, so first of all you need to understand server intention is getting the request or sending, we are you are going to send some request to that respect to server and you are going to get the respect to response. Okay, so that is mean what is exactly server. Okay, now if you go with database servers. Okay, so here if you go with the database servers, First of all, here database is nothing but you can store some data. Okay, database is nothing but first of all you can store some data. Let us remember what is exactly database. Just you can store some information. We can say that. Okay, so here as I mentioned you we're having some Oracle is one database which is from Oracle Corporation. MySQL is one more database. PostgreSQL is one more database, right? So like that we're having so many database servers. It is around maybe some 150 plus database servers which are having, but most of the companies they are replacing either Oracle, MySQL or PostgreSQL databases mostly. Okay, so this is nothing but database servers what we're having. So what is the intention of database? Just if you want to store some part of data, mostly these database servers or uh, what are the databases which I mentioned here. Okay, mostly they can store only structured data. Okay, so the data it should have some structure. That type of data only they can store, basically what I mean to say. Okay, now if you go with database, okay, let us assume I'm going with mysql database server. Okay, so now within this MySQL database server, right, we're having n number of databases which are related to the multiple applications. So just I'm mentioning some names. Okay, these names are not a constant, you can modify. Maybe some ABC database or maybe some CDE, EFG, right, or ERT database. Otherwise, instead of that, what happened? Maybe we're having some customers database, or maybe we're having some addresses database, customers addresses, orders information, orders, customers, addresses, transactions. So like that, we can have n number of databases. These databases can be utilized by different applications. Okay, that is the one thing basically. Now here each database So each database will have some number of rows and number of columns. So if you go with some transaction, right, maybe some transaction ID. Okay, so type of transaction. Okay, and amount, region, maybe some location. Okay, like that we're having n number of columns, depends upon the requirement basically. Okay, so it can be this transaction ID, uh, n number of transactions you're going to get for a particular day, right? And type of transaction, which type it can be, whether it is an credit card or debit card or maybe some net banking, so like this. And amount, which region, I mean it can be which country or which region, within that respective country what is the respective region. Location, right? So you can make it as a location or a country, it can be anything. So like that we're having some n number of rows and n number of columns for a particular database. Here I'm pointing to transactions. This transactions database having sorry, this is a transaction database, right? And each and every database is having some tables as well, and each table will have is having some number of rows and columns. Forgot to say the tables. Okay, so here, otherwise we can summarize these points here. Otherwise, each database server will have n number of databases. Each database will have n number of tables. Each table will have n number of columns and rows. Okay, so this is the respective hierarchy basically. Okay, each database server will have n number of databases. Each database will have n number of tables, and each table will have n number of columns and rows. So just I have given uh, some overview on this respective. Just I'm mentioning in this respective diagram basically. Okay, and this if you go with this database server, if you go with the MySQL, Oracle, or PostgreSQL, so basically Oracle is a paid version, but if you go with the MySQL, PostgreSQL, so these are the open source. Just you can download it and you can install in your respective laptops basically. That is the one thing. And same thing, same this MySQL, these things even we can get in Azure cloud computing vendors as well. Okay, Oracle also, even though it is a pay, but we're having some crack versions. But for practice purpose, even we can utilize this. We can practice this Oracle as well. Okay, so you can get some free download at some point of time, basically. Okay, even though it is a paid. So this is nothing but what is exactly database servers, tables, and concepts of rows and columns, basically. If you want to go with these any of these respective databases. Okay, as I mentioned you, this database itself, it is going to handle some amount of data, right? So best example is, so you can go to and go with double three schools. So if you observe, they're maintaining their own some database for practice purpose. They're maintaining some database on their respective servers here, basically. Okay. So on that respective database, they're having these many number of tables they're having. Customers is one table, categories is one table, employees is one table, order details, orders, for shippers, suppliers. These are the different types of tables, right, in which they're holding already. This is a maybe some dummy database, dummy data as well, but only for practice purpose you can utilize. Okay. So now within this customers, as I mentioned you, this is a table, right? So within this table, it is having basically, as I mentioned you, n number of rows and columns, right? If you want to know this respect to rows, how much amount, how many number of rows will have basically, right? Or if you want to know the columns, so just you can type some select star from customers. Just click on run SQL. If you observe here, right, so these are the column names. I mean, customer ID, customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country, basically, right? And here, number of records. How many number of records they're holding or they're having? Basically, 91 means total number of rows for this respective table. 91 basically. Okay. So this is the one way basically. You can check with any of these respective what we call any of these respective tables. Okay. So same way, if you want to, irrespective of this, because we are utilizing this already, some website, maybe some website we are utilizing and we are practicing something, right? But same thing, if you want to get in one software, maybe some MySQL, as I mentioned you here, so just you can download this respect to MySQL from the Google itself. So you can download whether it is your 32-bit or 64-bit, something like that, right? You can download and you can install and you can dump some data. So much of data is available in different forms. Maybe you can go with uh, download customers data set. So these are the open source data is available for practice purpose, which may not be original data. I mean, in real time, we're having so much of data which is related to the respective customer, right? But for practice purpose, you can download any of these respective database. And once if you install this MySQL, you can dump this data to the respective database. What are the database which are already installed in your respective database? That is a one way basically. Otherwise, directly you can go to this respective site and you can practice the same. Okay. So just we can practice some commands here. So for time being. So here basically here I have mentioned these are the tables, right? So if you want to know what are the columns or how many number of rows we're having for that respective tables, right? You can go with select, okay, star from which table you want, maybe some employees, that is assume, right? So just select and click on run SQL. So these are the respective columns and it is having some 10 records or 10 rows, what I mean to say. Okay. So now just I don't want to display these columns. Okay, just I want to know how many number of rows is available for this respective table. So for this, we're having a inbuilt function which is available in SQL itself, right? So that is nothing but select count star from employees. If you observe here, how many number of rows we're having? 10. I mean, if you want to know the total number of rows or total number of records is present for that respective table, right? So just you were having an inbuilt function called as an count in SQL is itself. I mean, structured query language. SQL is nothing but a structured query language, which is language which is falls to the any database server. It can be a Oracle or it can be MySQL or it can be some PostgreSQL. But maybe maybe what I mean to say is maybe function names will be different, but the intention is same. So here count is a one type of function which is available in SQL, right? Same function it is common for even Oracle or even some PostgreSQL or even some MySQL as well. That is my intention. Okay. So now here I want to retrieve only some part of column names. So here if you type some select star, we're getting some employee ID, last name, first name, something, photo, something, right? But I want to only retrieve some 2 to 3 column names only. Maybe some first name, maybe some last name. So like this. So now out of these many number of columns, right? Now it is trying to retrieve only these 2 column names only from that respective tables. So here employees is there, right? So from this respective employees, it is trying to retrieve only these 2 column names out of remaining column names basically. So now here I'm getting, now otherwise we can go with the customers. So here, if you observe this country, right, we're having some Germany, Mexico, UK, Sweden, right? So all these countries totally we're having some 91 records or 91 rows is there. But I want to get the customers which are related to only for Germany, right? So then here you can mention some where condition. So where country equal to Germany, click on enter. Now these, if you observe these specific rows, so are these customers which are related to only for Germany. The customers are related only for Germany here. So how many number of records or how many number of rows we're having? 11 basically. Okay. Or even you can go with here count. So like this. See here total number of 11. Or if you want to if you don't want to get this count star here, so you can give as maybe some, so some name number of customers. Okay, otherwise you can provide number of customers. See here, so total number of customers where country is equal to Germany, how many number of customers we're having? 11. Okay, so here you need to mention a keyword called as an as. So whenever it's mentioning some as, so instead of displaying some count star as a column name, now it is going to display as a number of customers basically. That is the thing. Okay. So now within this Germany, right, we're having n number of cities, but these many of cities I don't want. Maybe I need only city of Berlin. So here you can mention some and condition, and city is equal to billion, something like this. Click on run SQL. Now we're getting only one record. So where country is equal to Germany and city is equal to Berlin. So because we are mentioning the condition, right? So totally we're having some 11 records where country is equal to Germany. But out of these 11 records, I need city as Berlin as well. So that is the reason we're getting some total number of records as well, 1. If you remove the Berlin, we're going to get 11. But whenever if you're adding some Berlin, because this condition need to match, right? So on this all the records, so then only you're going to get a basket. Okay, or if you are mentioning some instead of or under instead of or, if you are mentioning something like this, right? So now or means it can be Germany or it can be some Berlin as well, right? So you're going to get some 11 records. So it can be anything, it can be Germany or it can be some Berlin, means it is going to retrieve the records, so where it is belongs to country as a Germany and as well as city as a Berlin. It can be any of the thing. Okay, or and means compulsory it need to match. So it need to match country as Germany and city as a Berlin as well, so then only it is going to retrieve basically. So any doubts, any of you till now? Have you understand this basic information? What these database servers, tables, rows and columns, these things? Any doubts? Jagdish, Ramesh, Narasimha.
Not sure.
So like this, you're having some n number of commands which are related to the SQL. Okay, SQL is nothing but a structured query language, as I mentioned. So this language is common for any of these respective database servers. So select distinct. Distinct is nothing but to overcome the duplicate rows. Okay, so if you go with this select country, run SQL. So here, if you observe this total number of rows is nothing but here 91, right? Out of this 91 rows, so if you observe this country value, so we're having some Germany here. Again, we're having some Germany, right? And if you observe somewhere here also we're having some Germany. Okay, so nothing but I want to, my requirement is just I want to know uh, unique. Here all these country names, just I want to know the unique. Distant is nothing but stands for a unique number of here at this point of time, unique number of countries, right? Or just unique number of records I want to get out of that only for country. So how many number of values falls under this country column, what I mean to say, basically. Okay, so for this we're having some distant. Here you need to apply some distant keyword. Distant. So like this. See here. So these are the distant now. If you observe, so there is no chance of repeating of Germany 2 times here. Here we are only 1 time. Here only once. So out of this 91 records, right? So these 21 records, right, are unique in point of country column. Okay, so these many number of countries we're having which are unique out of the remaining rows. So that is possible by using some distant is a function, what I mean to say, basically. Okay, it is a inbuilt function in order to check the uniqueness of the respective values for that respective columns basically. Okay, there's nothing but a distant keyword. So where you already know, so just if you want to mention some condition, you can go with where. And or not, and we discussed, as well as or, so not means except. If you don't want to retrieve that respect to see here, if you observe the specific condition, not country equal to Germany means except Germany, try to retrieve the remaining countries information. So just if you click on run SQL, here you're not able to find any Germany country related rows. It is not Germany, simply we can say that. There is nothing but not except this, so display the remaining countries values. There is nothing but not condition. Order by, so order based answer here. Here basically you're trying to get the number of, so let's start from customers. Here you're getting the number of records, right, as you know already. But out of these respective records, so just I want to ordered maybe some descending or ascending order. So here we're having some country, right? So here it is not in the form of ordered way. So just here, first of all, let us assume I want to get the country starting with A, then B, C, D. So some ordered manner I want basically. Okay, so generally we calling as in descending or ascending order, right? So if you want to implement that, basically you can go with ordered by country. Here now it is in ordered form, that is it by default is taking some ascending order. If you want to make it as in descending, right, so just here you need to mention a keyword called as a descending. So here now it is in reverse form. By default, if you are not mentioning any keyword here, right, so by default it will take as an ascending. If you want, you can make it as an ASC as well. Here country is in the form of in ascending order now. That is nothing but ordered by. So now even you can insert something on the existing tables. So if you observe here, let us start from countries. How many number of things we're having here? So here 91 records we're having basically, right? So now if you want to insert some more information on the existing table, right? You can go with some insert command. So like this, maybe insert into customers. So forward with some column names and this respect to values. So just you can copy this one, run SQL. Here you have made changes to the respective database rows affected one. So now basically here we are getting some 91. Now if you're trying to execute the same once again, you're going to get 92. So here 92. So recently we have added some this one. That is possible by using some insert command basically. Even you can check the null values. So if any null values is present for that respective column basically, so just you need to mention the command as a where address is null. Basically if you observe this address, this is the same database, sorry, from customers only, right, table. Here if you observe address ADDRESS, so these are the address column, sorry, address values, right? number of records 92. So out of these many values for this respective address column, so do we have any column, any values with, so any value with null as a value? Okay, so do we have any null values in this respective address column or not? Just we can check it by using this is null. By using, just you can add the condition where address, so within this respective address values, so here let us assume we're having some 92 values is there for this respective column, right? So do we have any null values is there or not? Just it is going to cross check it by using this is null condition. Okay, no, we don't have any null values, so we have checked here, right? We did not find any null values in this respective address. Even you can mention is not null means try to retrieve the records which is does not have any nulls. We're already having the records which doesn't have any nulls, right? So the result is trying to retrieve. So there's nothing but is null or is not null. And if you want, you can update the same. You can update some piece of records if you want, right? So but you need to mention some where condition. So here if you observe in this respective statement, what we are doing, update customers, we are trying to update some information which is related to the table called as in customers. So we are set contact name and as well as a city, right? So contact name is equal to this is the respective value, city is equal to this is the respective value, where customer id is equal to 1 means. So if you go with this list of customers basically, and I'll start from customers. So here customer IDs. So here we're having some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But we are updating only specific to the customer which is having some customer ID is equal to 1. Means this specific record only we are updating irrespective of the remaining rows. What I mean to say. Okay. So then we're having some delete as well. If you want to delete something. If you want to get some top of the records, so we're having some top function is there, right? So select top 3 from the customers. So these are the first 3 or rows or 3 records from this respective tables database, right? So top, maybe you can mention some 4. That is possible by using some inbuilt top function. Okay, so this min max count average sum, right? These are the inbuilt functions, even like as well basically. Here like customers with the name as a here starting with a. So if you want to start with a this is percentage symbol, right? If you are I mean ending with a, right? So you need to mention this percentage starting of this a. I mean here it is, he like this percentage of a. Okay, this percentage is varies. So if you mention this percentage after a, right? So it is starting any of the customer is starting with a. If I mention this percentage before a, so the customer starting ending with the a, starting and ending. Okay, so just percentage is going to be varies basically. So if you click on try it now, so if you go with the customer name, right? See here, so a percentage, right, starting with a. So these are the customers with the name with starting with a only, if you observe all of these respective customers. Okay, so just if you reverse this one like this, see here what we have given, customer name like percentage a. See here now if you observe these specific customers, they are ending with a, ending with a, right? These are the customers. So like that we're having so many inbuilt functions is there. So So you can practice here if you want, basically. Okay, so basically we are not playing with these queries, these many of queries. So just for information sake, just I want to give some overview, some brief introduction about this SQL databases or structured query language. Just I have given some information which is related to these database servers or maybe some databases tables. Those who don't have knowledge on this one, just I have given some information so that you can easily differentiate this SQL versus Azure SQL if you understand this information, basically. Okay, any doubts, any of you till now, this any of these queries or this terminology, anything? Fine. No doubts. Fine. These things, concepts.
Yes.
Okay. So just go through this specific site and just get some awareness about these pre-inbuilt commands. Okay, so here distant, where, and, or, not. These are the inbuilt functions which is available inside of SQL programming. I mean SQL language. It is not a programming completely, right? So just it is a already data is there. So just if you want to retrieve the data based upon your requirement, just we are going with some SQL. That is our major intention. So here database nothing but it is going to store some data, right? So out of this much amount of data, right? So just if you go with the customers itself, it is having already having some 5 to 6 columns is there. So out of these 5 columns, right, I don't want to retrieve, maybe I doesn't require this postal code, let us assume, right? So I want to retrieve only customer name, address, and the respective country. So out of these 5 columns, I just required only 3 columns. So then we required some SQL, right? So first of all, I need to write some inbuilt query. I think but select customer name, customer address, and country from customers. So out of these remaining columns, we doesn't require. That is our requirement. Based upon your requirement, we need to retrieve. It is possible by using only SQL. And even if you go with some distinct, so distinct is widely we are using in real time as well, because so much of time we are having some duplication of data will be there is a chance. So here country itself, if you observe this country, so out of 91 rows, 21 rows only unique, I mean 21 country names only unique, remaining all the country names are duplicated. I mean, even though customer is belongs to the, so multiple customers is belong to this same country, there is a chance is there. But if I want to get a unique country values or unique number of country values, right? So that thing is possible by using some distant command. Distant is always meant for uniqueness out of the remaining rows. Then you can go with some distance. So like not only distance, so many inbuilt functions is already available, all already backend this distance. So already it is already inbuilt done, We are not able to modify. These are the predefined functions. Otherwise we can say that these are the predefined functions which is already available in SQL. So just based upon your requirement you can modify the data by using these SQL commands. That's it. Okay, so you know already some importance of like. So if this is our requirement, so just I want to retrieve the customer name which is starting with A, so then you can go with this piece of command, right? So like that basically. So this is nothing but some introduction about this SQL. So that's